During the early morning of 18 June 1982, the body of a man in a dark suit was found hanging by the neck from scaffolding under Blackfriars Bridge over the Thames upon the City of London. The dead man had obviously been soaked in water and his legs were drenched below the knees. He was wearing a smart, well-cut suit that had been made in Milan, Italy. In the left-hand jacket pocket was half of a large brick. There were large stones in the right-hand trouser pocket and a quarter of another brick in the left-hand trouser pocket. Inside the trousers covering the genitals was another brick, more than half the size of a house brick. In another inside pocket was an Italian passport registered in the name of Gian Roberto Calvini. Suicide in the River Thames is common, and although there were some odd features about this body, the police treated it as a routine case. So if suicide is common over there in the Thames, then whoever, if it was murder, whoever instructed or orchestrated this wanted it to look like a suicide. But I don't assume that a well-known banker, I've not read the case all the way through, I've not read it, but from going on what I've read so far, which I normally do, going by that, he wouldn't have shoved, stones in his pockets and things like that. If he was a banker, rich and like a tycoon. So moving on, most people who commit suicide in the Thames do so by drowning, but Professor Keith Simpson, who began the autopsy at 2 p.m. that afternoon, had known of people hanging themselves above the water, and had also encountered cases in which suicides had been hanged themselves after preparing to drown by stuffing their pockets with bricks and stones. This Professor Keith Simpson, I doubt this person's. Anyway, I doubt this person. I don't think he liked this man. Professor Simpson's initial suspicion that the death was a suicide were confirmed as he continued the examination. He could find no marks on the body to suggest any struggle or rough handling, neither any signs of an injection. The man had obviously died from strangulation. Professor Simpson put the time of death at between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. At this stage the man's real identity was unknown, but it soon became obvious that the Italian embassy, which had been informed that an Italian citizen had been found dead, was treating the news more seriously than might have expected. Before long it became known that the dead man's passport was false. He was Roberto Calvi, president of the Banco Ambrosiano of Milan. So you see, this is the president of a bank, and him stuffing himself with dirty stones, I don't think that, is a very... He would not do an act like this, I don't think, unless he was, Looney Tunes. Until only a few days before, if he was going to commit suicide, this man, who is a banker, president, would do it in style. Until only a few days before, Calvi had been one of the most powerful men in Europe, but then the bank had collapsed. On 23rd July, less than 5 weeks after Calvi's death, the coroner of the City of London, Dr. David Paul, presided over what was to be the controversial inquest. The hearing started at 10 a.m. and lasted until 10 p.m. Although the jury were told where Calvi stayed in the few days before his death, they did not hear evidence from a single witness who had seen or spoken to Calvi in that time. Neither did they hear evidence from a single member of the Calvi family. So I will continue with this later. So I'm saying that he would not commit suicide like a vagabond. Thank you very much for listening.